Hey there, comic book fans. It's Rusty again from Collector Auctions, and as you can see, I'm in the car. I'm on a road trip down to my home place in West Virginia, and I decided to stop in once again in Strasburg, Virginia, to visit the Strasburg Flea Market. Now, this is an antique shop that is very comic book centric. It's got a ton of comic books. It has got even more toys that are related to the comic books. So I'm going to run in this time. I will see if I can take any footage or not, but I want to explore and see if the inventory has turned over at all and see if I can find anything else good. So stay tuned and I'll be right back. All right, everybody, I just finished up at the Strasburg Flea Market, had a great time. It was good to see the owner, Tom, once again. And my recommendation is if you guys are in the Strasburg area here in Virginia, definitely stop by. You can find so many different rabbit holes to fall down in this store. If you want to do wrestling toys, videos, G.I. Joe, Funkos, any kind of action figures you can even imagine, different toys, and then the comics, just the comics alone, you can go down different paths if you want. There's a ton of Bronze Age DC horror books. Not necessarily my thing, but he's got a little bit of everything. So, as I said, I found a few things. I will get back home and I will show off everything I found at the Strasburg Flea Market. So stay tuned.
A few moments later.
All right, guys, time out, time out. You thought you were just going to get the Strasburg Flea Market in this episode, but I've got some time left on my trip down to West Virginia. I'm going to stop off right here in Harrisonburg, Virginia, at a little comic book shop that I love. I've been to several times, and I've spotlighted them several times on some of my episodes. It's called The Secret Lair. And I'm going to run in. I probably won't do some footage in here today, but as I don't have a lot of time at this point now in the day. But I'll see if the owner, Chris, is here and if he's got some good books. It's been a while since I've been here, so I'm hoping he's got some good things for me. So stay tuned for that, and I'll be right back.
5 minutes later.
All right, guys, that was a very quick trip to the Secret Lair here in Harrisonburg, Virginia. Chris, the owner, was not there. I basically came in with about 10 minutes before they were about ready to close. So I got to thumb through some boxes, look at some of the wall books, and pick up a couple things. So I didn't get to spend a lot of time here digging like I would have liked to, but that was my fault because I forgot what time it was. But as I said, I did manage to pick up a few books. When I get home, I will show off everything I picked up from here, as well as from the Strasbourg flea market as well. We'll do everything together. So stay tuned, and I will be right back.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
All right, everybody, I finally made it to my West Virginia home. I had a nice trip down 81 today, and I got to stop, as I said, at the Strasbourg flea market, and then I stopped at the Secret Lair in Harrisonburg, Virginia. And I picked up comics at both places, so let's just get right into it because that's what we're here to see. So at the flea market, at the Strasbourg flea market, I've already talked about them and how many comics they've got and everything. And you could spend days there digging through all the comic boxes. And I went through a lot of boxes, but I tried to be a little bit disciplined. I was looking for some keys. I was looking for some really good condition books and try not to go down too many different rabbit holes. I've spoken about how many 1970s horror DC books that they've got. And as much as I would have liked to jump in on that, I just stayed away from it. And if you looked at the footage, there's a book on there that I am really high on. It is a book that I am targeting on an auction site right now. And they had a price tag on that that just scared the bejesus out of me. And that was that 4-color 189. And it is the second appearance of Scrooge McDuck. And if I'm not mistaken, it's the first cover art by Carl Barks. I'll have to check that before I put the video out. If I'm wrong on that, I will put the information right up here on the video. But I did manage to find some things, but I didn't go too deep on everything. Some of the conditions weren't as up to what I want, but I still found some good things. So let's just start. And I was very open to new, old, modern, bronze, golden, silver. It didn't really matter. I was just kind of curious to see what I could find. So I ended up picking up this. This is the first issue of this Daredevil run. It's by Chip Zdarsky and Checchetto. And I only got this because Checchetto's art on the new Ultimate Spider-Man has been so good, and I wasn't really familiar with him too much. So I went back and I picked this up, and these are $4 a piece. I mean, some of these are not big price tag items today. These are more like fun pickups, some with some minor keys and things like that in it. But I picked this up. This, however, is a slight key. It's not the big key, but for this character, it's still pretty decent. This is Daredevil 141. This is the third appearance of Bullseye. Now, this is a book that I have had it for years. I had it since the early 90s. Got it graded. I want to say I had a 9.2, maybe even a 9.4, something like that. And I sold that a couple of years ago. So I saw this copy, and it's a really nice copy. I haven't bothered to look up what the condition or what's it worth at a certain condition at this point. But I know that this is a really nice condition book. So I went ahead and picked that up. I think this had a $20 price tag on it. And I continue to pick up this book right here. It is the Fantastic Four 210. I only get this when I find it in really nice condition. This could use a little bit of a press, but doesn't have any spine ticks over there. And this is part of that John Byrne, I believe Roger Stern storyline. And there's the issue right after this is when they introduced Terrax, the new Herald of Galactus. But I bought this because we've got this Galactus cover right there. And with the new Fantastic Four movie, news keeps coming out, and it looks more and more likely that we're going to get Galactus. And so I'm trying to pick up small, minor Galactus keys. This is a key only because of this, just a great cover right there. Now, I did pick this up. And again, I didn't go through every box. I didn't have enough time to go through every box. But I did pick this up. I thought this was interesting. This is Smallville #1. And I bought this mostly because it's a very nice photo cover. And you never know. I might get that signed someday. You never know. But again, a $4 book, not a big investment, just more of a novelty. This right here, I got two more books. This right here is not a key, but it is right after a key. And what's funny is I bought the issue right before this on the first trip that I went down to the Strasbourg flea market. It wasn't a year ago. I guess it was about 4 to 6 months ago. And it is Daredevil 112. course, 111 is a key because it's the first appearance of the Silver Samurai. This right here is just continuing that storyline where you've got the Mandrill right here in the cover, and you don't see her, but he's in league with Necra, and I want to say it's part of the Secret Empire storyline, but it's not right. Maybe it's Black Spectre. You guys can remind me what the storyline was on this. This story kind of ran in Daredevil for a number of issues. It ran in Shane of the She-Devil, and it crossed over with Marvel 2-in-1 issue. I want to say issue number 3 with The Thing and Daredevil. But I always enjoyed this. These are the books that I grew up on, and this was a really nice condition book. I didn't worry about how much is this worth if you get it graded or anything, but really nice condition book right there. So I picked that up. Again, this was $10. I mean, it's an older book. We're talking probably 74 at this point, 1973, 74. And then the last book that I picked up was this right here. It's another Invaders book. This is issue number 30. Now, he did have a pretty good run of Invaders books to go through, but none of the conditions were what I'm doing with this. I'm not getting the Invaders run graded, with the possible exception of issue number 1 and the king size annual, the last Stromberg cover. But I've been working on a high grade run of Invaders, and this just knocked another one off the list right there. The other ones had a few ticks. Prices were great on those, but the conditions, even just a spine tick or two on some of them, it was close, but I decided just to pass, wait until you find the much better copy. So that was my experience, and these are the books that I got at the Strasbourg Flea Market. Tom, if you get a chance to watch the video, thank you for allowing me to film in your store. And just as a side note, guys, how do you not get thrown out of antique shops and comic book shops when you're a YouTuber? Ask to film. Go in, have a little humility, ask, hey, is it okay to film in here? Don't just come barging in with a camera strapped to your chest or something like that. And you gotta be pleasant. You gotta be nice. You gotta treat people like the way you want to be treated. And I'm not pointing fingers at anybody else in particular. I'm just saying this is how I don't get kicked out of shops like that. And he was very good. He let me come behind the desk and check out some of the better books and everything. In fact, that's where I found that Invaders book right there. And he had some other really good Detective Comics books. They were older, some of them from the 50s, 70s, early 70s, 60s. And it just was, some of them, the conditions were really good, but it's just not as I keep calling it, the rabbit hole that I want to go down. But I appreciate him giving me some of that liberty to film and then to come behind the desk and look through some of those better boxes. So thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. So after that, I got back on the road, and I'm looking at the time, but I wasn't paying attention to exactly how late it was. But I got down to Harrisonburg, and I ran by the secret lair, and I already said, I went in, I had maybe 10 minutes before they were in close. I thought they were closing at 5. It turned out they're closing at 4. And the owner, Chris, was not there, so I didn't even have a chance to talk with him. So I rummaged through some of the bins real quick. I took a look at some of the wall books, and I ended up pulling a few books in my short 10 minutes there. Let me show you what I picked up. Off the New Comics wall, I hadn't really thought about getting this, but I have been collecting the new Ultimate line of comics, but after the first issues, I'm not buying variants. But I did pick up Ultimate Black Panther number 3. It's got this, I believe this is a Boss Logic cover of Killmonger. So I got to check on that to see. But this was really a nice cover. And going through the bins, I ended up finding this. This is Spider-Man number 1. This is from the Marvel Knights line, written by Mark Miller. But I bought this because it is a Terry and Rachel Dotson comic, and that is a really nice cover. And I'm not going to send this into CGC. They are doing a signing. I'm not going to send this in, but if they show back up at one of the big cons that I go to, whether it's Heroes Con or Baltimore, in fact, I think last year Terry was at Baltimore, but Rachel was not. She was supposed to be there, but she was a cancellation. So I'm kind of hoping that the two of them will show back up at one of those two cons this year. So I'll have this just to get signed. I don't necessarily need to get every book I get signed graded too. That's not what I want to do. I love getting comics signed. It's one of my favorite things. I've done multiple channels talking about it's my favorite part of the hobby. It isn't just buying comics just to hoard. It's not even reading the comics. There is a love of the comics, but I love meeting the creators and then getting them to sign some of their better books like this. So I'll save that for a future signing. And then the last thing I picked up, and I just remembered there's something I forgot at the Strasbourg flea market. I'll go back to that in a second. But the last book I picked up was this right here. It's Howard the Duck #1. It's the variant cover, but it's the Scotty Young cover right there. And Scotty Young's going to be at Heroes Con, and this book's going to go with me. That's a book that I could get graded right there. That's a pretty tight cover right there. So Scotty Young's a little bit hit and miss with me. There's certain things I absolutely love, and then there's other stuff that this is really good. So those were the end of the comics that I got at the Secret Lair. I appreciate my 10 to 15 minutes in there. And Chris, if you guys get a chance to watch the video, I will try to stop in on one of my future trips down here to West Virginia and maybe be able to spend some more time there. But as I said, I forgot something from the Strasbourg flea market. I picked this up, and this is a test. This is a test for my daughter. If she's watching, she'll know what she's getting for her birthday. But if she doesn't watch, she'll be surprised on her birthday. But I did pick this up. It is one of the Harley Quinn action figures from the multiverse. This, I can't tell you which line this is from, and there's so many of these variant action figures that are really nice. But I do know it's what they did is they paired it with the Terry Dodson cover. I think it's issue 12 maybe. And I knew it was Terry Dodson because I almost bought this when I was trying to buy a run of that first Harley Quinn issue up to about issue 12. I was trying to buy a run of those, so I recognized the cover there. But there is my daughter's birthday present and I'm going to be holding on to this till December. So Jess, if you watch the video, this is what you're going to get. If you don't watch the video, you'll be surprised. So anyway, guys, hey, that is it. This was a really nice trip down here to West Virginia. This trip, there was one other antique mall that I kind of wanted to stop out, but I was running out of time. When I got to Verona, Virginia, I went right by it, but I only had a half hour, and I figured on a future trip I'll stop there. They have so many comic boxes. It will take hours to dig through properly, and you can find some hidden gems in there. But I needed more time than that half hour was going to allow me, so I decided, come on, let's get down to my West Virginia home, get set up, and have a good night's sleep because I've got a lot of work I got to do down here. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this trip today. I hope you enjoyed everything that I picked up. If you get a chance, stop by Strasbourg and go to the Strasbourg flea market. If you go to Harrisonburg, stop by the Secret Lair, tell Chris I said hi, and hopefully we'll pick up some good things. But leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought of everything today. And that's about it. Guys, if you like this kind of content, definitely hit that like button, slap the subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the episodes that I put out each and every week. All right, end of the sales pitch. I think when we hit the bed, I am exhausted. It's been a long day. So guys, take care, and I will see you for the next episode. Just remember, every comic has a story.